What am I doing? Can't hear you. There's no sound. Welcome. Where's the sound button? How do you want me to introduce myself? Can they hear me?
Yes, everyone can hear me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you can just ask me questions over the phone and I can look so amazingly smart answering them for you. All right. Well, go ahead. My name is Nick Castellano, and Dr. Nick Castellano. My background, a little bit about my backgrounds. I'm a nuclear power chemical instructor for the U.S. Navy. I did that for a while, so kind of a nerd. And I have a master's degree in biochemistry, and I got a doctorate in philosophy and theology. So that's the educational background. I'm from a big family, an Italian family, 6 kids from Brooklyn, New York. And so raised Catholic and wanted to learn what the truth was out there and got into the sciences, obviously, through nuclear power chemistry and kept digging and digging and digging until I found what I found was supposed to be the truth. And I believe it is because it works in my life. Yeah, Marianne has to restart her computer and come on back because someone has told her technically that when she comes on back, then all the sound will be hooked up. So Marianne's gonna hang up. Please hang on. She'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll be back online. Okay. And I'll stay right here, and you'll just be amazed at looking at me. Thank you. And if you guys want to type in any questions while you're busy doing that, you can. Really, what I teach and what I do a lot of is quantum physics, and quantum physics is it's the study of like subatomic particles, and that all things are made out of waves. There is no matter, and that's what's a matter. So if there is no matter, most of the theories in science that I taught in the chemical aspect of things are no longer there. And those theories go out the window, and the things that we run our lives by are no longer there. And it kind of throws the things out the window that we thought we knew was the truth. It's helped me. What I do now, I have 5 patents in the oil industry right now. And I run a company out of Hong Kong. I'm the CEO of the company now. They just voted me in as CEO. And my life has changed drastically when I started to apply these principles to my life. And because of that, I wrote a book called Awaken the Sleeper, Awaken the Sleeper. And the sleeper is us because we think that stuff happens to us, yet we should be happening to stuff. We should create the reality that we live in. And there's ways to do that. And there's ways that we can create the reality that we live in. And actually, we do create the reality we live in right now. But I didn't just come up with this because somebody showed me the secret. This was through science. The science of creation shows that we, based on the thoughts and the observations in our heart, create the reality we live in. And it's it really is important for business because you want to create positive things in your life. And we have a tendency as a people to try to avoid the negative things. And we focus on what we don't want instead of what we want. And when we focus on what we don't want, we get more of what we don't want. And when we get more of what we don't want, we're wondering, why is that coming? Because I don't want that. Because your energy is bringing about that thing. You're saying, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. It's the same as saying, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to smoke. Your subconscious mind, all it hears is smoke, 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 smoke. And it's the same with this. Debt-free, worst thing you can ever say. I want to be debt-free. Don't be debt-free. Be prosperous. Focus on the positive things, not what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. Because the way it works is you will get what you do want, and it assumes you know that you want this thing. Are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yes.
There was much rejoicing.
Thank you, Brandy. So exciting. Okay, so did you have a question?
I didn't have a question. I don't. You ask them if they have questions.
Okay. Well, before we get started, here's something. So somebody had a question, and let's go back to it in just a second. But I just wanted to set this call up by letting people know how I came in touch with you. I read Nick's book called Awaken the Sleeper. And I've been a real fan of quantum physics for a while now. And as a Christian, a lot of times we have been dissuaded from looking at this kind of scientific kind of material. And I'm sorry for that. But I was not going to be dissuaded. And Nick did a great job in his book called Awaken the Sleeper to help open my mind and reinforce a lot of the things that I learned from Law of Attraction and The Secret and so forth. But he did it in such a way with his scientific background that was so fascinating to me. And so I had to get a hold of him and ask him to come to my event down in Coronado next week, actually, and got to know him a little bit. And he's just a solid guy, Nick. You are. And your wife is awesome. I love you guys. So here's the thing. A lot of people, even as much as they know about quantum physics, they're still confused.
Right.
People are still, I would say, skeptical even about it. And you having your scientific background, I feel is just really qualified to talk to us about it. And I like how you talk about it in a way that is easy to understand. Mm-hmm. So I would like to just open it up a little bit for whoever's here. What would you say how would you define quantum physics?
Well, quantum physics or quantum mechanics is the study of subatomic and atomic particles, realizing that they're all, when you break it down to its smallest component, just waves. And that kind of messed everybody up when they actually went into this this study, because everybody knows there's protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom. And what had happened was they kept breaking it down, and they found out that a proton was 2 up quarks and a down quark, which is an energy packet. And then they found out a neutron is 2 down quarks and an up quark, which is an energy packet. So they said, thank God for the electron. At least it's matter. At least it's solid. It's that little orbital that goes around. And then they did something called the double slit or double slot experiment. And once they did that, they realized that everything is a wave potential until acted on by the outside observer. And that observer's expectation creates the matter exactly where that person expects it.
Okay. And I've read this before, too, in that whole experiment with the slots and wave potential. Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, in every aspect of our lives, we have something called choice. And we can choose. So each choice that we decide to take is the potential that we collapse the quiff on. The term collapse the quiff means bring from the unseen into the seen.
Oh, wait, stop right there.
Go ahead.
Bring from the unseen into the seen.
Right.
Collapse the quiff. You've got a lot of terms here that you're just rattling off. And so let's just back up.
Quantum physics calls it when you actually do say it should be here, and it is there, called collapsing the quiff, or collapsing all the subatomic unseen particles into a place where we can now see them because your expectation put it there. You thought it should be there, and it was.
So then what you're saying is that there's no absolute reality about whether it's there or it's not there. It's just a matter of whether I perceive it's there or not.
See, that's the problem, is that we are always right in our expectation of a thing. And that's a tough thing because, when we say, well, that real good thing happened, but, there's going to be a yin and a yang. There's going to be a negative to counter that good thing. And you're right. If you go, well, bad things happen in threes. And you're right. Get ready for two more. Or you can go from, if the Bible would say glory to glory to glory. And you're right, because you believe that to be so. So we, unfortunately, would rather be victims, but we are the creators of the reality we live in. And it's our call what choice or potential we choose.
It's awesome. And by the way, you guys are giving props to Nick, and that's great. If you guys hear something that you love, give him lots of props. This is his first time he's ever been on Blab. He doesn't even know, what the heck is that? So I just thank you. Show him a lot of love. Show him a lot of love. Yes. Nick is really, really smart, but he's really a teddy bear. Aren't you, Nick?
I am.
That's right. Okay. So, all right. So basically what you're saying is that if we think, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I mean, that's just the bottom line for that, right? And so there's a whole world out there that we're always trying to control things, but really there's a whole unseen world out there too. So how do we bridge that gap?
Well, we got to remember in science, the science decrees only 4% of matter is visible. 4% of the entire universe is visible.
That to me is insane.
And then 23% is dark matter, and the other 70-some% is dark energy. So we intelligent human beings typically make our decisions based on only 4% of the information when we don't use our gut, the Holy Spirit, our intuition, what we believe on the inside, and we use our intellect instead of our we would say gut or intuition, or Christians would say the Holy Spirit guidance. But it's because the unseen is so much vaster than the seen. And, you talk about the Bible. In the Bible, it says God made all things seen and unseen. Mm-hmm. And he laid them up there for us, and we can draw them into reality if we choose to. Mm. It's our choice whether we can. But the problem with that choice is, am I worthy?
Okay, well, let's get to that in a second, because I think that's a really good, we face a lot of different obstacles of creating our reality.
Right.
I mean, really. And so I want to go back to what you were talking about with the dark energy.
Okay.
All right. What do you mean by that?
Unseen energy. It's out there. It produces waves, but you can't see it. Just like dark matter. There's dark matter that science has proven is out there because they can shoot a light by it and it bends the light as if there's a gravitational pull, but there's nothing we can see with our naked eye. So they call that dark matter. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it still exists, and it's just that you can't really see it. It still exists.
With the naked eye. That's correct.
To the naked eye. Okay. So how can we... somebody's asking if you would like to do an article for their magazine and help with that. So get in touch with us. I'm sure that Nick will love to entertain that question. All right?
Yes.
Oh, here you go. Look, Nick, you can look over in the chat box. We would like to invite Nick to do our article for our magazine. Could you help him with that? This month, we happen to be featuring NASA.
Okay. I see that. Great.
All right. Yeah, so I'll show you how to get in touch with female exact. Maybe you can put your email address in there too, hon.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, and we're going to handle questions. If you have questions for Nick too, put them off to the left-hand side of the screen, and we'll take those questions one by one, okay? So for those of you who are just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Nick Castellano, and he is talking about quantum mechanics and creating our reality with quantum mechanics. There will be a replay of this. We had a little bit of a slow start, but we're cooking with gas now, so that's awesome. Okay, so the first thing it seems like we have to be aware of is that and it sounds like obvious, but I don't think we do think about this much. There is an unseen and a seen world. There are things we can actually see with our naked eye, and there's things we can't see with our naked eye, but they still exist.
That's true.
Okay.
But the thing is, you've got to, then I'd relate it to something real life, like when you just feel somebody, you feel them come to the room. Well, how can you feel them? You can't see them. I just felt their energy. Oh, well, that's unseen. He's in a bad mood. Why? I can feel it.
Right. Love is that way too, isn't it? Love is an energy that everybody knows love, but you can't often see it. You can see evidence of it, but you can't actually see the energy of love, can you?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, how then does a person, use this? What would you say? How do they get started in using this tool to help them create their own reality?
Well, that's a good point. That's the first thing usually for me, and I can only speak for myself what worked for me, but meditation worked very well for me. Now, the problem with if you will, the Christian community is they've given away all the tools that were laid up for us, and they've given it away to neuroscience, New Age, all the wackadoos or whatever that don't give glory to God. So it was ours to be used, but it was never used by us. And we called that witchcraft or black magic or, and once we realized what the word really did say, it did say that we create the reality we live in. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's Hebrews 11:1. That's what it's talking about. I translate it in my book so that they can understand what exactly it's saying in the Greek. And then when it says that, it shows that we create what was not before seen by the naked eye.
Okay. So just having that reality that, and one other question. Okay, so then if a person knows that, practically speaking, what are some things that they can do to encourage their knowledge and skill in the use? This is like a tool, isn't it? This is like a tool.
It's a tool, but it's a hard tool to master because we're emotionally driven creatures, and we have a tendency to focus on what we don't want and give it a lot of energy. And by focusing on what we don't want and giving it a lot of energy, we actually pull from the unseen into the seen, the thing that we don't want.
Okay, stop right there. That's a really important thing you just said. All right. So the truth is what we focus on expands, or what we focus on we get.
It's the dog you feed that's going to live, and the dog you don't feed is going to starve. So if you feed the dog of fear, you're going to have a lot of fear in your life, and that's a big dog. If you feed the dog of love, peace, and joy, you're going to have a lot of love, peace, and joy. The hardest part about all of that is when you want love, you can't sit around saying, I wish someone would love me. You have to go give it, and then you get it.
Okay, so you put out the energy of love.
Energy, that's
correct. The energy of love.
That's correct.
Okay. So, there's a lot of people who say that they do that, but they don't get the love back. All right.
They don't get the love back in the way they want to receive it. People receive love in different ways. And we have a tendency as kind of selfish human beings to think that everybody should be just like us and love just like us and show everything just like us. Yet, when you go through the different classes and you learn more stuff, you learn about all the love languages. I mean, forever, my wife, I would buy my wife gifts like crazy and compliment her everywhere. That's not her love language. Her love language for me was service. So with service, I had to do all the, get up, and if I really loved my wife, I would do what I'm not comfortable doing, which is do the dishes or make coffee in the morning or make a fire before it gets too cold. That kind of thing that typically I wasn't raised with that. My dad didn't do none of that. He just provided for the family. But I learned that meant love to my wife, not a diamond necklace. Are you still there? Hello? She's not there. Well, one guy, Spy Gadget, you asked, what's my background? And I'll say it one more time. My background's, I've got a master's in biochemistry, a doctorate in philosophy and theology, and I was a nuclear power chemical instructor for 10 years in the U.S. Navy. So I'm, like I said, a nerd. And like I said, I created all this from the place of, I created all this in the place of nerded. Find out. And I have the world credentials, if you will, but it doesn't mean anything if I don't actually apply it to my life. Are you there again, Miriam?
I am. Sorry about that. My thing just cut out. Were you explaining to somebody about your credentials?
I just did that, yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just looking at some of the... okay, so hi. I just want to say hi to a couple people. Hey, Al, good to see you here. And let's go up here, too.
But you asked, how do we do this thing?
Yes.
The first thing we do is meditate, and that's a key. Now, the hardest thing in the world is to meditate, because the hardest thing in the world is to get your brain quiet. And when you can finally get quiet and actually be now, be right where you're at, not with all these regrets from yesterday and fears of tomorrow, but just be now. And when you're in that place of now, you can find that meditative spot. And then all of a sudden, answers come to you that you've always asked. And then you can create your reality, or if you're a Christian, you can co-create your reality with Papa God, because you're a co-creator, because he created you as a creator. He created us in his likeness and image.
Okay, well, hang on 1 second, though. And I'm just trying to look at different angles to this. What does meditation have to do with quantum physics or quantum mechanics?
Okay, meditation has to do with quantum mechanics. Looking at us like we are the antenna, if you will, or and when we're not meditating, my brain waves go all over the place, and pretty much my life becomes que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be.
Okay, so what you're saying then is that meditation really helps the energy flow.
It focuses your energy, and focused energy with the right emotion can create some amazingly good things in your life.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so what would be the right emotion?
Well, for me, I have to get to a place of peace, joy, and love. If I've got this place of peace, joy, and love, which as a Christian I would call the kingdom environment, peace is the environment changing portion of it. Joy is the emotion of the kingdom, and love is the weapon of the kingdom, because love conquers all. So I would say that peace, joy, and love, that place, now I'm going to bring into my life things that exist in the plane of peace, joy, and love, that have been laid up for me in that place of peace, joy, and love. If I create from a place of fear, lack, and worry, I'm going to bring into my life more things that edify me in the place of fear, lack, and worry. You know, as an example, when I'm in fear, lack, or worry, and I'm starting, and this is when I first started, and I'm getting all crazy, and it's like a spiral, and you're going downhill, and all of a sudden you see yourself holding a sign out, "Will work for," it's that bad. And you go, you have to put a stop on that and say, no, that's crazy. That's not, it's just an incident which I've already superimposed some result on. And because I've superimposed some result on that incident, it becomes so.
Maybe you could share a little times. I mean, can you give us some specific times when you actually had to, where you've used this meditation, you used energy to bring a different result into your life?
Well, one of the times was when I first started, and I was learning this thing, and I was meditating, and I was in my meditation. I sit on Papa God's lap. I go up into heaven, and I sit on his lap, and I give him a hug, and we co-create together, because I got to remember who my true father is for me. And so anyway, I'm up there, and I'm sitting, and what can we create together today? And I'm in this great place of peace right now. When I'm there, I'm emotional. There's tears coming down my eyes. It's real, and you can't fake it. You got to really be there. You can't Franklin Daytimer it, meditated for 15 minutes. No, won't work. You've got to really be in that place. There's a place of Schumann resonance, which is a 7.5 or 7.8 hertz. It's the the resonance of the earth vibrates at 7.8. And your goal is to try to get in that place where you're just part of all this stuff. But the way to do it for me was meditating. And I meditated. I'd sit on Papa's lap. And I was concentrating on a stock that I had for 3 years. And I said, if this stock goes public, I could have a lot of money. Well, of course, all the I'm not worthy and fear came in and all that stuff. And so when I meditated, this is what I meditated on. Seeing this done already, seeing this with joy and expectation in my heart. And the funny thing was, the next day, the stock became public. And it started trading at $7 a share. So my shares went I had 500,000 shares, became worth 3.5 million in one day. Now, one day I went from nothing to a millionaire. So this was one quick incident, but it shows that just because I had all the seed out there, but I wasn't allowing the seed to germinate. Mm-hmm. I was hindering it.
Can we block the creation of the results we want by the negative thoughts and energies we have about ourselves?
Absolutely. If we don't think we're worthy, if my I am statement, and that's one of the things that I encourage is an I am statement. Mm-hmm. If my I am statement is not a good I am statement, or I don't even have an I am statement, then all I am is what other people say I am.
Oh, let's stop. Say that one more time.
Then all I am is what other people say I am.
So if you don't have a strong I am statement, mm-hmm. then everybody else's I am of you become your I am.
And you try, and you try to appease all around you so that they will like you, and you become a chameleon, and you're the same as every person around, and that's a dangerous place to be because you have no control and you're very disempowered at that place.
Mm-hmm. Nick, hang on one second. I just want to note, Monty Henry has given a resource here. It's called the Schumann Resonances Tuning Forks for Life.
Yep.
And, you guys might want to take a look at that and check that out because it goes back to what you were saying about how the earth resonates at a certain vibration level.
That's correct.
And, I mean, this can all sound very complicated, and we can make it really, really simple.
It can be simple. I'm a nerd, so I had to go the hard way. I had to make sure it all made intellectual sense before I could receive it as a truth. But it doesn't matter if it makes intellectual sense or not. If you just receive it as a truth, it is. It's your truth, and it works.
And it works. And that's what I decided to do along the way. I felt like there's enough evidence, and there's some people that say it's not true. There's some people that say it is true. I believe there's enough evidence. And that's what we do in life. We weigh out evidence, don't we, all the time? We're always weighing out evidence.
Somebody asked about the double slit experiment up there. Did you see that?
I did. So, can you address that? What about the double slit?
The double slit experiment was, and I can go through it if you'd like. I just don't want to bore anybody, but it was they took a gun and shot it through a steel slot, and it made markings on the back of a wall, and they looked like dots. They were dots. They were solid markings. And then they took the same gun and shot it through two slots, and it made two markings on the back wall. So they said, okay, that's how particles look when they go through these slots. And then they put this one slot steel unit in water and tapped the water, and it made this wave kind of thing on the back of the wall. Then they put the two slots in, and it made this multi-wave thing because there was an interference pattern. One wave was crashing into another wave. They say, okay, this is how a wave works. Okay, so they were all good with that. So then what they did was let's go quantum. They shrunk it down. Now, how do we do? So they shot electrons through this one slot, and it made boom, boom, boom particles. Well done, just what we expected, because electrons are matter, right? Then they shot electrons through the two slot, and when they were done, they saw waves. It was a wave. It was acting as a wave. So they said, well, something's wrong here. I know the electrons are banging into each other. So what we're going to have to do is fire one electron at a time. So they fired one at a time, and it still, after all that time, made a wave pattern. So the funny thing was they said, so now electrons are just wave potentials. They're not matter at all. And then what they did was they said, let's look at it. Let's see what's going on. So they put up this high-powered microscopic kind of thing, and they put it on and to do the same exact experiment. And when they did it, it was ... two solid matter particles showing up on the back wall. And their conclusion was that man and his observations created matter from the electron wave potentials. And Dr. Alan Wolf does a great job with this on his website. He's got a little cartoon that he does that talks about the double slit experiment, and he does a great job explaining it so everyone can understand it.
Okay, so why don't you give me that resource, and I'll type that in, and people can, if they want to know more about that, they can.
It's Dr. Alan Wolf. All they got to do is Google Dr. Alan Wolf and then double slit experiment, and the cartoon will pop up, and they can watch the cartoon. Makes it real easy.
Okay, great. So that just goes to prove that what we are expecting is what we create. It's
the expectation. If you expect somebody to always be in a bad mood, you're right. This is one thing that my students hate, because every time they'll say something and I'll go, and you're right. Because you believe it to be so it is.
Right.
Now you got to change your expectations if you want to change your reality.
Yes. I work with a lot of people who come from, and maybe they have strong faith in God, whatever denomination or whatever background they are. But they also have, at the same time, a history. A lot of times our history determines, our history becomes the evidence to us of what we're going to receive in life.
And there's where the mistake is, because what we do is focus on what we have, so we recreate exactly what we have over and over and over again. That's just like last time, Yep, because you're seeing what you have instead of what you want.
Yes, and I have found that the hardest thing for people to do is change their expectation, because the evidence is so strong. So somebody can say, everything I do turns to crap. I've had a number of people who that has been their mindset. Everything I do turns to crap. And they've got years of experience because they've reinforced that message over and over again. Well, now they want to change that message. They want to change the course of their life, but they're still operating in the same framework. It becomes very difficult for them sometimes to adopt a new framework, because in their mind, they have no evidence that everything I touch can be prosperous or I can succeed. So it's a whole different paradigm of what it is that they have been believing. But in order for them to recreate a new course for their life, they have to change the paradigms. And without the experience,
but the only way they can change the paradigm is change who they think they are.
They have to change, and what it is they think they're capable of, what it is they think they're worthy of. So, how does a person? Cheryl says it runs in the family. Yes, expectation, paradigms. What we think who we are runs in families. And at some point we have to take responsibility and say, I'm not going to keep believing that. I can chart my course in a different way. But it is hard. I do want to acknowledge that.
It's hard because we were raised a certain way, and it's hard because the synapses, the axons and dendrites are so thick that when a thought comes in our mind, the electrical currents go through them right now, because that's the way we were programmed. What we're doing is reprogramming this stinking thinking so that we can think the way we should be thinking as creative beings with great value, not as worms in the dirt and just going to be just like Dad was, going to be just like Mom was. No, you can make a choice. And when you make the choice and you make the difference, all of a sudden your kids don't have to go through that stuff either.
So the interesting thing is that you were just talking about how there's an automatic response, though, that happens in the brain. The programming, there's an automatic response. That's right. So how does a person who's got the ruts in the road already established it in the connection between the brain, the neural connections, right?
Reprogram?
How do they reprogram? Because they're going to have to reprogram in order for them to get different
The only
results.
way to reprogram is to, if you were a Christian, you'd say, capture each thought and hold it up to the glory of God. If you were just a guy in science, you go, feel your emotions. If that emotion is giving you something that's fear, lack, and worry, know that that's just a warning, bad thought. Your body's telling you this is not what you want, bad thought. And then capture that thing and change the thought. Put something positive in its place. I mean, I've said negative things before, and I know it's a negative thing. And then what I do to overcome it is say 3 positive things right after that about the same event. Because it's the greatest energy wins. The greatest energy wins. Whatever energy, sometimes I feel like I'm going to get it, and sometimes I feel like I'm not going to get it. And the greatest energy wins. So you're not going to get it till you know that you're going to get it, till you know it's done.
You got a lot of props going there, buddy. I don't know if you can see the corner of your screen, but you got...
What's going on? I'm sorry. Oh, did I?
Yes. Can you see yourself on the screen? Can you see all the props people are giving you?
I'm getting propped out here.
You're hitting the mark here.
And I'm hitting the mark for people that want to be responsible for their life and they want to be victors. I'm not hitting the mark for people that want to be victims and they want to blame everybody else for their life. And if that's what they want to do, then they're right, and they will continue to do so. And everything happens to them. But I choose to make me happen to everything else. That's how you create reality. You don't let stuff happen to you. You happen to stuff.
You know, when I was a kid, I grew up Asian in an all-white community, right? Asian in an all-white community in upstate New York. So I'm Korean, half Korean, Italian, and Polish. And the area that I live in, and it's right after the Korean War.
Okay, right.
Right? So Koreans are not terribly popular.
Makes sense, yeah.
Of course, not everybody knows whether you're a Korean, Japanese, Chinese. It doesn't matter, right? But what I learned was that I'm defective. That's how I felt. There's something wrong with me because I don't look like everybody else. So being defective formed a part of my neural pathways. And it just that thought, I am defective. I am not as good as everyone else. Those I am statements motivate our lives. So that I am statement motivated me to work hard, to prove myself, to get a lot of degrees, to get a lot of education. And I think you and I talked about how you had some of that growing up too, because of your background, right?
I'm Italian. My dad was domineering. He was God. He was my higher power. And if I didn't know that, he would let me know that. But, I had to leave and go away from my father so that I could learn who I was. And then and when I did that, my dad called me once and said, why did you leave? You're the only one out of your 6 brothers and sisters that left. I said, Dad, you're like the sun. If I get too close to you, I wither and die. But if I get just far enough away from you, I grow and prosper like a plant. And he goes, okay, I'll buy that. I had to find out who I was. And then I work on this every day. My I am statement is right beside me every day. And it's also in my car.
Read it to us. Read it to us.
It's in my computer. That I can't do it right now.
Okay.
I got the screen turned around so that my camera's working. But
okay, gotcha.
But the point about the I am statement is, that when I'm in a tough place, even when I'm driving, I'll pull off the side of the road, open my visor, and I'll read out loud my I am statement to remind me. I'll go, dude, you just forgot who you were for a minute, and I read my I am statement until I find that place of peace again. And then I go on with my day. There's no sense going on with my day if I don't find that place of peace, because all I'm going to create is havoc in my day. And then you give away a whole day. You say, today was a rotten day. And you gave a whole wet day away instead of saying you just had a rotten moment, but a great day. Start your day over anytime you want to.
Well, it sounds to me, too, like you're really saying that we have to be really aware of what our emotional state is.
We do.
Don't we?
It's all it is it's a guidepost to tell us what direction to go. If we're feeling joy, do that thing. Whatever that is, do that thing. You're feeling that joy in you, go that way. If you're feeling fear, don't do that thing or don't think that thing. That's all it is a notice. You don't have to change your emotion. Your emotion is a guidepost telling you, no, get it. Oh, you're going to go in the ditch. Get out of here. Or no, that's the direction. Go that way.
Well, a lot of people say too that they can't change their feelings, and even in Christianity, there's a lot of people that have promoted, don't let your don't even pay attention to your feelings. Your feelings don't count. But what you're saying really is your feelings are clear.
Yeah, well, a lot of people try to make you act like a Vulcan, but like you have no feelings, no emotion. I am Earthling, right? And the thing is, we are emotionally driven creatures, but let's use our emotions as guideposts, and let's not just respond. Too many times we've been conditioned to respond instead of think. There's very little thinking and very much responding, and then we ended up thinking the same thought the next day, and the same thought. It's like 92% of the thoughts that we think are the same the next day, and most of them are negative.
Right. So if we can know what our thoughts are, be in touch with our feelings. Don't ignore your feelings. Know what you're feeling. Know that you are not a slave to your feelings. Some people say, I can't help what I feel. And I know that by the time emotions come along, you almost can't help it at that point because it started back with your thoughts.
Exactly right. It's like an alcoholic with a drink. You already had your first drink. You're done. Just keep on going. Right. But you say I can't help that one. Inside my gut, that's a victim statement, not a victor statement. Because I can help anything.
That's right. Absolutely. So what would you suggest then when you find that you're in this frantic state, you're in a state of discouragement, you're in a state of frustration, you feel like, you just want to quit and give up. At that point, when you become aware of that, what does a person do?
Okay, for me, again, I'll tell you the tool I use, but the goal is to get yourself in the place of joy, peace, and love. That's the goal. Now, how do you do it? That's the question. Because I'm in a place of fear, lack, and worry, and all heck's coming against me, and I'm getting hit like a machine gun riddling. It's coming from every different direction.
And your brain is telling you you're justified for that.
It's justifying your anger, and you should be justifiably angry or upset or fearful. Right. What I do is celebrate. What I do is sing. Mm-hmm. I sing, and I start to sing, and I keep singing until the waves in the air have changed, and there's positive energy in there. And that's the escape I use. In the car, I'll sing. And I'll sing positive songs so that I can get out of this place of negativity where I'm all self-absorbed. And the other thing I do is when I'm really feeling like I'm getting attacked, I go help somebody. The greatest gift in the world is when you help someone else, you help yourself, really.
So you really shift the focus.
I have to switch the focus because my focus is on the wrong thing. And it's giving me these feelings that are telling me you're thinking the wrong way.
Yeah. All right, so let me take a couple questions here, and let's see. Guys, if you have any questions, please, for Nick, feel free to, I want to open this up for questions now. If anybody would like to join in here, and does anybody know how to help Al turn off the props? Thank you, Al, for all these props I'm getting, but he would like to get it to stop, and they're not stopping.
You got too many props?
So I'm getting too many props, and I know Al is crazy about me. However, I don't think he means to be giving me almost 2,000 props here. Somebody said that you should sign out and come back in. Thank you, Cheryl. Okay. I don't know if Nick Trixala is still on the line right now, but he says, can a person's energy remain in place once the physical vessel is gone?
Can a person's energy remain at a place once their physical vessel is gone? In other words, if they die, are they still around? My belief as a Christian is absolutely they're around, but they're hanging out waiting to come on back. So, that's a theological awareness. Some people say they're reborn. I'm not that guy, but the point is that energy will never dissipate. Your energy, who you are, your soul, your mind, will, and emotions are going to be there forever. You're an eternal being. Yeah. Our problem is we see ourselves as limited physical beings, but yet we really are eternal beings, or we really are spiritual beings living a physical experience. And once we can get that part, then we don't get influenced so much on what we see or feel or hear. We start to influence because we're okay with that, because we know we create the reality we live in, because we're really spiritual beings.
Yeah. Brandy is saying energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change forms.
That's great. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed, only change in its form.
Amonte wants to know, can you talk about multi-dimensions?
Well, multi-universes or multi-dimensions, some theories are that, here's a theory, and a lot of people believe in this multiverse or multi-dimension, or that we live maybe in 8 billion different universes all at the same time. In other words, I'm creating my universe and you're creating your universe, and we've got 8 billion people on this planet all creating their own universe. And that's one aspect of it. There's also multidimensional, where there's creatures existing in the 2-dimension world, or the 3-dimension world, or the 4-dimension world, or we believe that God is above time, because time is something that was established by him when he said, let there be, and then time started. And so there was no time before that, and he's above time, so that's why he's always I am, because he's always now. And we as a Christian, I'll say this: Christians try to create, but they're afraid to be in the now moment. And the only time you have power is in the now moment, lined up with I am. That's why his name is I am, not what I was or not what I will be. So we've got to find a way to get ourselves in this now moment and not be so influenced by what we see.
That's great. Somebody asked the question, Cheryl, what about deja vu?
Deja vu. Well, if it was the Matrix, I would know that little cat came. But deja vu, I think, is almost incognitive. And in other words, it's just telling you what. It's almost like a glitch in your mind. It's like synapse, and you, I already went through that. So, or this is deja vu, or I've already done all this. And it could be, and typically what scientists say is it's the emotion and the scenario that are the same as the emotion and scenario you felt exactly some other time. And you're just re-experiencing it. But I'm not a real heavy deja vu guy.
Isn't it possible, though, because we are connected with spirit and source that is timeless, that we can also be somehow projected into a future time?
Well, we are timeless creatures. We can back and change our past if we want. And people go, well, how do you do that? Well, I had an incident with my father where he said something very terrible to me, and he said it in front of everybody, all my friends, and we were singing Christmas carols. And I took that on as that was, my dad, and from now on I'll show you, and that was my life. And then when I was about 42 and I learned some of these tools, I went back and I realized that my dad was working 3 jobs at that time. He didn't have a lot of money. He's got 6 kids to support. He was stressed out. He didn't even remember the incident at all when I addressed it to him later in my 40s, because to him it was nothing. It was just a response. And so what I did was superimpose this new reality on my past, which gave me a new present reality. I said, no, my dad was just overworked that day. He didn't mean it. He just said some words that really had no value. And now that thing that he said had no more power over me.
Yeah, we can all do that. Even by understanding, but we interpret things. That gets to the point of how we interpret things. We attach a meaning to a word or to what somebody says and does to us that may not even be what they meant. Not at all.
That's why I hate the text message.
If they did mean it.
I'm sorry.
Even if they did mean it, we can say, I still reject that because it doesn't square with my I am.
Or we can hear it. Like sometimes I'll get these attack emails from in my workplace, and I can say, I can retaliate because I've got a great vocabulary. I can get all kinds of stuff back there. Or I can reframe it into, man, he must be having a rough day right now. And he just felt like he could take it out on me. Let me give him a call, and then again, I maintain my power. I don't give it to somebody else that makes me jump around. I'm not going to let someone push my buttons. I'm the boss of me. Little 2-year-olds know that. I'm the boss of me. You can't tell me what to do. But too many times we give that away. We let others be the boss of us. Somebody will walk into a room and it's your mother-in-law, and you're, oh, that woman. I get all, and you're angry already. She's the boss of you.
Mm-hmm.
She controls you.
That's
like
right.
like she's a marionette on a string.
Cheryl asks, what do you do to attempt counteracting the negativeness in the world?
Well, the only thing I can control is the negativeness in my world. And so if I am a super positive person, my world ends up being super positive. And you know what's funny is then I start seeing more and more things that are positive and edify that positivity, and less and less things that are negative. Now, I'm not being an unrealist. It's what just comes into my vision, because now I'm looking for positive things. Every day I look for positive things. I always look for things that bring me joy. You know, you look for things that bring you joy. Guess what you get? Joy.
Yeah.
You look for things because so many people, a lot of us, me, get value out of fighting battles. And when you get battles...
What do you mean you get value out of fighting value?
For the old world self, you get value because in my brain, and my sick brain, I'm a warrior. So what does a warrior need to get value is a war. So sometimes I'll create a war when there really needs not be a war. But since I've created it in my mind already, it's going to happen and it's going to be a war, and I'll overcome it because I'm amazing. And I overcame it. And yes, what a hero. I did it again. But I also created the thing I had to go through as well. So why not just not do that?
So you just put yourself through a whole lot of negative energy when you didn't have to.
I didn't catch that. You broke up.
I said, so you put yourself through a whole lot of negative energy that you didn't have to.
They find their energy or their answer when they're got their nose to the grindstone. This was me. I learned the hard way, but a nose to the grindstone. No, I will make it. There's no way I'm going to stop. I will get this done. Fear, worry. And then finally, I let it go. And then, you know what? Bing! There's the answer. The answer didn't exist.
So, by the way, it seems like we've lost your picture.
Gone?
We only have your audio, but at least we get to hear you.
My picture is gone?
What's that?
It shows me here in my screen.
Yeah, your picture's gone.
Yeah, maybe it's just you.
Oh, and Cheryl says she can see you.
Why did you attract that into your life?
Maybe it's just me. Everybody
So
says you can see
let
him
me
but me.
say what I was saying that. Let me finish.
All right. Well, that's good. At least everybody else can see. Randy said,
let me finish
you
my
again.
point. Is that
Randy?
I was saying the thing about fear, lack, and worry, and you know, then I got into the place that I actually got the answer when I let it go. Well, I misconnected the dots to think that it was all that hard work that gave me the answer, when the truth was the moment I let it go, I could actually see the answer, because the answer didn't exist in fear, lack, and worry. The answer only existed in love, peace, and joy. And so we have a tendency in our fear to be looking for the answers, wondering where is it? It doesn't exist there. The answers are in the place. So all we got to do is change the emotions coming out of us, change our state, and we resonate at the frequency that we can actually receive the right answer. That we can resonate at a frequency that we can attain the right answer. In other words, all things vibrate. Everything is made out of waves. Everything has waves. We know that the planet vibrates. Everything vibrates. When you think a thought, you think a thought. Then you had a picture in your brain. There's that picture of whatever that picture is. Here's the scenario. I just lost my job. You think that thought. Now, I lost my job, so you let it go down the old rabbit hole, and by the end of it, you've got a picture in your mind of you holding up a sign on the side of the street, "We'll work for." And then on the other hand, another dude right next to you thinks a thought, and he sees that picture of himself doing the thing he always loved to do now that he doesn't have that job anymore. He's so excited. One guy's excited, one guy's this. So the hypothalamus releases neuropeptides based on the emotions that you are feeling. It says, okay, you want that? Here's some of that. And so those neuropeptides or amino acids key lock into every cell of your body, and then you vibrate at a certain frequency. That's why you can feel people when they come in the room and they're angry or they got bad energy. You go, oh, he's got bad energy. And we'd say that and everybody go, yeah. But let's talk about what he just did. He's vibrating at a low frequency. He's vibrating at a fear, lack, worry frequency or an anger frequency, a very disempowered state. Exactly. They don't know why.
But they
I'm
can
just explaining why, but that's what it is. The person is vibrating at a low frequency. They're in a bad place. But then there's people that'll walk into a room and you go, who is that guy?
Yeah.
All he did was walk into a room, but you just went, look at his eye. In his eyes, there's this look. The cyclonic muscles are upturned, and he's like, that dude knows some stuff. And you don't even talk to the person yet.
One of the questions I know this is kind of right up your alley too. Do you think quantum physics or God directs you to what you're meant to do?
Two different questions, but I believe that all of us have a purpose and a destiny. And if you're a Christian, I would say God created you for a purpose because he didn't create any junk. He created everything for a purpose, but the problem is the only way you can find out your purpose is to go to the creator of that thing. A thing can't find out the purpose by asking another thing.
But Nick, could I just interrupt for a second? Don't you think that whether you're a Christian or not a Christian, God created you with a purpose?
We're created by God for purpose. But a lot of people don't believe in God. They believe in source energy, or they believe in source, or one source, or higher power, but I don't know who he is, or and so I'm just trying to not say a name, but for me, it's God. And I believe God created all things. And I believe he created everyone. And everyone has a purpose. And in that purpose is a destiny, a place he wants you to take you. And we have talents and gifts that we were all given. It's like, to me, God's fingerprints on us that were meant for the purpose we were called to do. But the problem is most people don't even think that they have a different purpose. They just do what everyone else does. Well, mom thinks I should be this. Dad thinks I should be this. This is a good way to make some money. So that's what I'll do. Instead of the thing they love to do. God set it up so we were created for the purpose of the thing we love to do. That's the way we were wired.
Well, and I think, I used to believe sometimes that the purpose I was created was supposed to be this thing. If I enjoyed it, it can't be God. It's got to be something else, because there's this thinking that if it's something I enjoy, something I love, something that's fun, that it can't be God, And I think it's only if I am sacrificing my life in the middle of a tribal hut in Africa on a dirt floor eating bugs. That's the only noble purpose that I could probably have, And so that really gets to somebody's perception of God, Your purpose sometimes the clarity of it can be determined by your perception about God.
If you've got a vengeful God or a God that judges and beats the heck out of you, you're going to have a rougher life than if you got an all-loving God. It depends on which way you go. I mean, but for me, my God is an all-loving God, and I know when I see him, he's sitting on the throne, and I have a choice. I can go the left side, the bad way, or I can go the right side. And when I go the right side, I see him stand up from his throne and go, yes! So.
I love that. Would you like to tackle this question? Okay. Monty asked, can you elaborate on this? The intention experiment, the largest mind over matter human experiment in history. I don't know if you're familiar with this at all. It's by McTaggart. I'm familiar with who she is too. The universe is unified by an interactive field. She supports the theory that the universe is connected by vast quantum energy field and can be influenced by thought. And I don't know if
that is truth. I mean,
I don't know if you are.
The universe is a vast energy. If you're a science, that they used to call it the ether. There was names for it. If you're a Christian, you would say all things are held together by God's word. It makes no sense that there's other stuff. There is no matter, like I explained before. And that's what's the matter with all the theories that I used to teach all the time. There's no matter. The only matter we have is the matter we've created, that we've agreed that this will be in place because we created the reality we live in based on the thoughts and the intents of our heart. But I agree with what they're saying, that there is something that unifies us all, connects us all. We're all connected. I mean, there's something called a random energy generator that will measure the random energy in the atmosphere. And what happened before a Princess Di funeral was the random energy generator spiked like crazy. Why? Because everybody was focused on that funeral. OJ's trial, the random energy generator spiked 3 times normal before the verdict was drawn. And in 911, the random energy generator spiked 10 times more than normal, and it spiked 4 hours before the plane wrecked into the Twin Towers.
So one of the things that McTaggart, she proposes is that collectively, if at a certain time, all of us focus in on, let's say, somebody in a foreign country, there is a somebody in need or a healing that's needed in a foreign country, that all of us have collectively take our moment. And isn't that kind of like what the power of prayer is too? But we focus all of our collective energies on that particular person or situation that we can actually affect,
and that's exactly, I agree with that. Distance has no, it doesn't reduce the effectiveness of the waves you're sending out. Distance has, it's almost like these waves are from a spiritual realm, because they go through buildings, they go through houses. It's just like ELF waves. It's the same thing we used in the Navy for submarines. They go through everything. They're real long waves, and it's kind of what we produce that are not time dependent, nor are they distance dependent. And, you know, just if you go to the Christian side, Jesus said, just say the word and he shall be healed. And he went, yep, you're a pretty smart dude. I've never seen no greater faith than in all of Israel than what you just said, buddy. So, and all he did was just say the word. He wasn't near him. He didn't touch him. He didn't have to do some big dance around him. He didn't have to slap him on the head and say, in the name of Jesus. He didn't have to do all of that stuff. Push him down. If you don't fall,
and
keep
push him down to the ground.
So that's on that side. On the quantum physics side, yes, everything is connected. Everything is connected, and that makes too. I mean, if there was a big bang, or when God said, "Let there be," everything came from one source, and it all came from Him. So we're all connected anyway because we're from Him.
Absolutely. There was as Christians also, we are taught that we have the power and the authority to use our words to affect change. We have the power and authority to, and we don't want to exert this change, this power and authority over human beings, you know, except what we do when it comes to healing and helping people to heal, or to helping people to be released from a negative influence and oppression, you know, to setting them free and so forth. One time, though, I mean, my husband and I have taken this very seriously. And one time we were in the airport, and our plane was delayed, and it was midnight. All the planes were delayed because there was a terrible storm outside. And there was a little boy who was sick, and he couldn't get home. He needed to get home. He needed to get to a doctor's because he was so sick. And the mother was very worried about him. And it really touched my heart. I felt so bad for this little kid and his mother. And I said to my husband, I said, you know how to speak to storms.
Amen.
Use words, use your energy, and you go out to that window and you speak to that storm. And my husband actually did that. I mean, he says, oh my gosh, he lost himself. He's a power. We can all be powerful people that way.
We can.
And he went to the window and he just spoke to that storm. And he said, be still. In the same manner that Jesus did, be still. And lo and behold, that storm cleared up and we were out of there within 30 minutes.
But why did it clear up? Because he knew he could. He believed he could.
Right.
And that's
right.
What we believe is what becomes so. And we've got to understand that's the the key. Well, I knew he was going to do that. Yeah, and you're right. But if you don't come to that conclusion, then maybe some different result will come into your life.
Well, at this moment, I would like to just take a second to, let everybody know that who is on this call right now about an event that I am having and I have this specifically at the Lowe's Coronado Bay Resort because of the energy. It's January. January is the time when we really start thinking about what do we want. It's where the highest amount of energy,
That's right.
Isn't there, Nick? As far as forward thinking, progress,
what I want to do,
faith,
setting goals, all that stuff. Yep.
Yes. And and we don't want to dismiss that. We don't want us to feel like that is hogwash. We want to go with cosmically speaking, and all of us coming together. It's very high vibrational time. So what I would love to do is in January, I secure a location right on the water because I want the energy of tranquility and peace, love, and joy to be surrounding us while we are co-creating with God our year. And some people do that at the end of the year. Some people never get it done, but I picked January. And so Nick is going to be one of my speakers. You're also going to be participating in the weekend as well. And you're going to be teaching more on quantum physics and how to co-create, how to create our reality, and principles about meditation too. So I am very excited about this, and I'm so happy that you came on this call tonight and that you're going to be joining us at the Lowe's Coronado Bay Resort. So if anybody is interested in learning more about that, go to createyourmagnificentyear.com. Createyourmagnificentyear.com. If you have any questions about it, please just email me, contact me, let me know. Thank you, Cheryl. Createyourmagnificentyear.com. Now, let's say we have somebody. We have a call in. Let's bring Spy Gadget on board here. Yeah. Okay.
How you doing?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
You guys.
Would you? You're Monty. What's
Monty.
Your name?
Right.
Monty.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to give you some props here, Monty, for coming on and being so interactive in our conversation. What do you do, Monty?
I think is your microphone
Can you hear me?
fading for anyone else?
Hers was, yes.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, Marion, your micro.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a delay or something.
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
Just for a moment.
Okay. Oh, so tell me.
Well, I run a surveillance and security equipment
what do you do?
company. We sell spy gadgets, surveillance equipment, and counter surveillance equipment, anti-terrorist equipment, and all this, these type of things all over the planet. Right. That's what I do when I'm not.
My husband is a former.
You're delaying again.
What's that?
That's okay. No,
Huh.
I can
I'm
hear
sorry
you
about
fine.
that.
The volume is fine, except that there's a delay every once in a while. Go ahead.
So what's your question, sir?
Okay. So, I just wanted to say that my husband is a former FBI agent and private investigator. So we probably need to
follow me on Twitter or whatever we need to, whatever we do. and this, that's fine.
Okay.
So do you have so much of a question. It looks
you have a question for Dr. Nick?
I commend you guys for blabbing something as complicated as quantum physics. This is something that, it doesn't translate very well, and it doesn't have a lot of practical applications for most people. So it's interesting that, people are actually attending and trying to get something out of it. It's very interesting. When I'm not working hard at growing my business, I get a chance to look into these very esoteric subjects that you guys are discussing.
Yep.
And it's interesting, Marianne, that you recognized the young, Taggart. What do you think about her?
Dr. Taggart? Well, I subscribed for quite a while, actually, to her newsletter, and just the whole power of intention. And she really helped me to see how interconnected we are. And I love some of the results that she was testifying about and encouraging people at certain times of the day to focus all of our energies together on one particular thing. And then to show what the results of those things were. And I would say almost in every instance, there were positive results that came from all of us focusing our intentions to somebody in some remote country.
Particular occasion where she talks about a type of regression or going back with those same intentions? And in other words, there was an experiment where a bunch of people were prayed for, and there was a control group where they were not prayed for. And actually, they found out that individuals who were prayed for, they healed a lot quicker as compared to the control group who were not prayed for.
Yep.
And then at the same time,
yes.
See if I can state this correctly. The group that was prayed for, a lot of those people ended up being healed prior to let me see, I think that was called regression. What is it called? Like a regression, where they actually got a chance to go back in time.
That's what I'm talking about. Back in time.
Right. Yeah, you were mentioning it in reference to the double slit experiment in terms of when you actually observe the collapsing of the wave.
Yep.
And that makes a big difference, because if you observe the collapsing of the wave at a particular point, the whole experiment changes as if that was, as if that was what you were doing all along.
Correct.
Even though those electrons hit the wall already. So it's amazing how, the outcome of an experiment should have been concluded, but depending upon when you observe those electrons, they change themselves to a prior state.
Yep.
And this is very, very important, and it has very significant implications, because it looks like
that is just,
I'm sorry?
I said it's mind-blowing, but it is real.
It's very mind-blowing, because Lynn McTaggart, Dean Radin, Michael Persinger, a lot of these people, they're very statistical people. Diane Hennessy Powell. A lot of these people are scientists. A lot of these people are physicists.
Yep.
And they don't believe in just mumbo jumbo things happening randomly. They have tests, and they have research projects, and they try to duplicate these things statistically.
Yeah.
And Diane Hennessy Powell's book, The ESP Enigma, this whole book focuses on how her approach was to get statistical analysis to confirm whether or not any of the ESP-related phenomena was statistically verifiable, if you will.
Right.
In other words, after 100, 1,000, 10,000 tests or test runs, there's a very good chance that this is happening.
Yes, there is. We're all connected. It's not that hard. The thing is, we are programmed to think that we're just this individual island floating by ourselves. And we think if we do better and someone does worse, we're winning. But overall, we're staying exactly the same as a unit called humans. We're all. So the idea is to elevate all humanity, and it takes an awakening to do that. And awakening is if one guy can awaken, then he can help two other people awaken. And then all of a sudden, and in kinesiology, it teaches you that a very small number can change the energy of a very large number just when they're awakened.
And I like the idea of this consciousness that permeates the entire planet, because see, a lot of times there's phenomena that we can explain with some of the ways that we typically like to explain things. I'll give you an example. I think
we
Dean
lost him.
Radin may have pointed
There
it
he is.
out. There is a
You're here.
okay. Am I here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Dean
You're-
Radin, I think did this experiment. Go ahead.
Losing you, bro. It stopped.
What happened?
Yeah, it
Are you
froze.
losing me?
Yeah. Just lose you.
Oh,
Go in and out a little bit.
Oh, let me see if I can change networks.
Yeah.
Just 1 second.
There's also, and there's not experiments there in I believe it's China. They are having these cancer treatment centers that are non-surgical and non-chemical treatments, where they have people going in who are really good at focusing prayer, just focus. And nobody's allowed to have, if you've got like negative energy or negative thoughts or doubts and worries, you're not allowed to go into that room.
Okay, Marion, I'm going to go out and come right back and see
Okay.
if I can come back
Speaking
without
of
interrupting.
Speaking of that, though, Mary,
Just take a second.
I went into a hospital room once, and this young lady had a brain tumor, and that brain tumor was pretty evident, and it was on the wall. They had a picture of it for her to look at all the time, and it was a big brain tumor. She had 2 little kids around her, and what I did was kick everybody out of the room that had negative energy. First thing I did. So everybody that had negative energy, mom was sitting there fitting her daughter for a coffin. Mom's out. The 2 kids are out, and because they're nervous wreck and fear, their mom's dying. And then what I did was at that point, pray or lay hands on her, and because of the belief that I could, and because of the belief that she had that I could, the next day her brain tumor was not there, and they said that was because there was a glitch in their machine that measured the brain tumor. But the woman was dying. She was sick. And the next day she was fine, and there was no brain tumor. I know we have the ability to heal each other and ourselves.
Yeah.
Proven by the study done on Parkinson's disease in India. They had 1,000 Parkinsons. They were not producing dopamine, nothing. They gave them a placebo and told them it was the newest drug ever created. Out of those 1,000, 500 of them were not exhibiting Parkinson's anymore. And of those 500, 300 of them were producing dopamine. So just because they believed it could be, it was.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? We have to be aware that there's certain frequencies that cancel out each other if we're not
cancel
careful,
our own frequencies out. I really want this, but I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
But I really want this, but I shouldn't have it because it's too much. And so the double-minded man should expect nothing, as the Bible says. I mean, it ain't going to work. You're going to cancel each other out. The end result is no wave at all. Neutralization. Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, can I make one point? I think it was kind of interesting. There was an experiment. I think Dean Radin may have conducted it. There's something as simple as a flock of birds. I think they were blackbirds in this particular situation that Dean Radin was looking at. As we all know, when there's a significant flock of birds, like maybe it was 500 or 1,000 birds, they're flying in various formations, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you observe that, typically you would conclude that the birds are communicating with each other, and they're telling each other that we're going to turn right, turn left, bank, go up and down, and all of this, right? But see, the problem with that reasoning is the birds can't communicate quick enough, because if you study the flock in terms of how this one huge flock takes on like one organism, right? I mean, every single bird is flying in formation, and they're changing elevations and pitch and everything quickly. Matter of fact, the way it's timed, there's no way the birds can be communicating with each other. Right. So I think what Dean Radin was pointing out, and it's very interesting, and it really jives with what Lynn McTaggart talks about as far as the field. We have this consciousness that permeates humans and animals and everything else. And those birds were actually communicating as one, and because the reflexes would not allow them to, actually make that, make those types of adjustments quickly, quick enough. It's just like two people playing ping pong or something. If you look at the reflexes of two professional ping pong players, you would conclude that these people are superhuman, right?
Right.
But I think what one researcher was concluding that on some sort of mental level, these guys were in tune with each other. There's a type of connection going on where their muscle reflexes would not allow them to make those adjustments and quick enough. So when we seems like when we tune in the same frequency level, and I think Teal Swan and a lot of these guys talk about frequencies and how we tune in to those things that we want to be a part of, connected with, or have an impact on. And same thing Nikola Tesla told us a long time ago. Biological frequencies are very, very instrumental and have a very, very significant and practical impact on our lives.
So how do you use this in your life, Monty? How do you use this knowledge as a tool in your life? Because that's where we're going here. We're going to give tools so that we can actually not just know a thing, but actually utilize that knowledge and apply it to our lives, which is wisdom.
Right. Well, I think what I'm getting from all of this is that, you see, we all have the ability to affect the reality that we want to be a part of. And that's why I kind of put that loaded question out there about multi-dimensional universes and such, because it seems like we have various universes all around us, and we tune in to particular ones. See, right now, our frequencies are allowing us, like a frequency on a radio station, we're tuning into certain channels. And most of us tune into the same channels. But at the same time, we have the capability of tuning into other channels as well. And so, realizing that, for me, practically, I have to understand that I want to get into those particular realities that allow me to get more information, make a greater impact, get greater knowledge, and just understand that there's a little bit more going on here than probably 90% of the people can participate in. So we have to.
I hear what you're saying, Monty.
Tune into those additional frequencies.
Me being a nerd, I heard the words that you said, which were knowledge and intellect. What I'm saying is application, because it's great to know stuff.
Exactly.
And it's great to have intellect, but really the stupidest people on this planet typically are the smart ones. So it's the people that actually utilize the tools called wisdom. Those are the guys that make all the money. Those are the guys that are wealthy. When I started applying these principles to my business, my income went up drastically because I allowed it into my reality. And I didn't just keep seeing what I always said. I actually utilized tools to change my reality and to change my workspace. And that's the key, is how do I use this as a tool? Like, how do I get into peace, or how do I get into joy? Well, create a gratitude list. Everything I am so grateful for, and then write down everything you're grateful for. And then every morning I read my gratitude list to myself so I can start from a place of gratitude, anytime you created anything that was amazing, write it down in a book, put it in a book. And when I came through, or when God came through book, whatever, because we always remember the bad thing, but we can't seem to always remember the good thing. So we got to go back to our book. Oh, and I'm afraid that this might not happen. Wait a minute. Let me get my book out. Oh, it happened there. It happened here. It happened here. Oh, it'll probably happen again. We allow it into our reality.
Well, you said it earlier. And Teal Swan, if you guys Google Teal Swan, you'll understand. Nick and Teal are saying the same thing. See, a lot of times we if we want to not be mean to people, if we want to not be greedy, if we want to invite more positives into our lives, I'll give you an example. There's a term called war on crime, war on drugs. Okay, if you put a lot of energy into something, that means that's what you're going to be inviting into your life, right?
Crime.
War,
Right.
crime, war,
We
crime,
can go
war.
back to the Bible again. The Bible says, the Mosaic law was there so that sin would abound.
Yeah, my point is,
Don't sin. Too many
Right.
churches are sin conscious, not God conscious.
exactly. My point is, why would you exert a lot of energy or expend a lot of energy on something that you actually don't want as part of your life?
They don't understand the principle. They don't understand the principle that we're talking about that runs everything.
Yeah.
Because if we got this principle, there would be no more people power over people. There would be we're running our own show. We're empowered. Each person is empowered. And I would applaud when you do well, and you would applaud when I do well, and we'd be edifying each other and lifting each other up.
Well, that's the problem. See, the programming that a lot of us, unfortunately, have been exposed to, it causes us to believe that you focus a lot of energy on these negative things, and somehow that makes them go away, or that resolves them. Why wouldn't it be better to focus on the positive things and put energy into that as compared to?
Well, and I have to say, too, what I've noticed about that practice, focusing on the negative energy, a lot of times people do not release themselves because of some training they had as kids. When they were trained as kids, we're trained a lot of times as children that when we do something bad, the focus becomes on what's bad. We get punished for what's bad. And the punishment on what's bad, you think about what you've done, young man, right? That whole mentality causes us to actually focus on the bad that we've done, thinking that that's going to help change us into being better behaving people.
When we did that, we actually put ourselves in bondage. Every time we do that, we put another chain on our link. And the only part, and we are very tough slave masters. But the person that holds the key is us as well, that can release those chains.
Yeah.
So we just need the tools to show us how do we release those chains. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Hey, Nick, I want to respect your time here. I know we've been on for about an hour and a half here. And I would love to have you come back and we can do more discussion about this.
Okay, I'm gonna bow out, but I appreciate you guys tackling such a complicated subject. It's not something that translates very well, even in a black format. But
thanks
for at least bringing this topic to light. Okay.
Well, there'll be PowerPoints at the Coronado. Everything will be easy to understand because I'll take you from nothing to building it so you'll understand it.
Cool.
He's actually going to be doing a really good step-by-step PowerPoint explanation.
Okay, just as one last thing, as an example of a practical way of finding out whether or not you have these types of any skills at all, I think Dean Radin has some tests.
Yeah.
What he calls paranormal abilities tests, where you take certain tests and you get a chance to find out whether or not you have any psychic abilities. I'll put a link into the
all right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, you guys. All right, take care.
Thanks, Monty. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All righty.
Thank you. Bye, Monty. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, so Nick, I just want to kind of wrap this up too with a couple of different, and just tell me if this is good advice or not. But number one, we have to be aware of our vibrational levels.
So when you say that for the normal people, that be aware of your emotions or where you're resonating at, right? Right.
Okay. Number two, wherever it's at, if you're trying to, if it's low, you have to learn the skill of raising it. You do have to learn that skill.
And as low as you are, there's somebody lower.
Okay. And so you can change your emotional level, your vibrational level, by changing the thoughts that you're thinking and what you're focusing on.
Change the picture. That's why a vision board is so important. It's the way that in the material world to have a vision that you focus on and look at every morning and every night so that you can allow it into your reality and let it be so.
There you go. And then the fourth thing, too, I'm thinking about is discipline. This requires a certain level of discipline, doesn't it?
It does, because you're reprogramming. I mean, even as a Christian, they say repent, which means think a new way. And we're trying to think a new way.
It doesn't
and
mean
go
beat
with our old
yourself up.
programming.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming. And, everybody stay tuned. Nick, would you be willing to come back
Absolutely.
another time? Okay, great. So everybody, thank you. We'll have the replay up for this. Cheryl, thank you for being there and being so interactive in all of this. Appreciate that. And one more time, createyourmagnificentyear.com if you want to see more of Nick. If you want to raise your vibrational level by connecting with who you are, your purpose on earth, and where you're going next year at the most tranquil, beautiful location right on the water. We got everything set up for you. So thank you, everybody. And we're going to close out for now.
Bye-bye.
So goodbye. You're welcome.